Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa and I am the hobbyist, the crocheter, the knitter, the maker behind Missouri Makes. I do a little bit of everything, seems like. I don't make soap. That is one thing on my list that I have not made. But I've dyed yarn, I've made stitch markers and jewelry and crocheted, knit, wire working. There's a lot of other things on my list that I would like to do. So I haven't done everything yet, but we'll get there. But this is not the first time that I have recorded this episode. I have recorded this episode at least twice. And I found my Oopsie videos that I hadn't deleted yet, but I didn't find the one that I had finished. And so I have to remake the video again. And I just tried to make a video again about 5 seconds ago, and my dog decided that she was going to try to get up in my lap. She's a big dog. She can't get in my lap. And so everything was going to get knocked over. So we had to redo again. And the reason why we have to redo is because my computer doesn't do editing very well right now. And so I have to do one takes in order to be able to put episodes out, which is fine. But I get to the point where I don't know what I've showed you and what I haven't showed you yet. But as the title says, we're going to do WIPs and finished projects today, because I've finished a couple things and casted on a few more. I think I've casted on more than what I finished. Yeah, I know I have. And so let's go ahead and get right into it. The first thing that I'm going to show you is this. I don't know how the colors are showing up on the camera, but it is a very deep purple and goes all the way to a light purple. This yarn is from Darn Good Yarn. I got a box from them. I ordered some. They had this on clearance for $10 a hank at least a year ago, and it's 100% silk. I've got another hank somewhere with the tag on it, and I don't know where it's at, but it's 100% silk, I believe. And all I did, and I've made so many things with this and took it out because it just didn't seem like it was the right thing to use for the yarn, because to me this is special yarn. I'm used to acrylic yarn or acrylic blend yarns, and so when I get fancy yarn, I'm like, I've got to make something really, really nice with this. And so nothing seemed right. This is, I want to say, lace weight. But all I did was I started down here at the bottom making the triangle shawl, and I used the Expression Fiber Arts. They have a video tutorial on YouTube, which anything that I mention here, if there is a link that I can link to or I can put in here, I will have it down in the description. And usually I've got a Ravelry group that I will put all the show notes and stuff in, so everything's there, and I'll be sure to link the video. But all she does is a plain stockinette triangle shawl, and I really like how the stitches and everything's coming out. But my thing with it is I tried to crochet with it, and it doesn't seem right because the color changes are so short. It just looks like a jumbled up mess. And with knitting, you see how the color changes are. It looks a little bit more even. But she did just plain stockinette, and that's what I did for a while, and then I got bored and did some seed stitch here. I believe that's what it is. Seed stitch is knit, purl, and then you purl the knits and knit the pearls, right? I think that's called seed stitch. But that's what I did here. And I'm using US 7 4.5 millimeter needles because I wanted something that was a bit looser and more drapey than anything. I didn't want to have to fiddle and have a dense fabric, so I used a bigger needle. And I got like 4 hanks of this, and so I figured that's what all of it will go to, and I'll just make me a big old shawl with it. There's that. And what else did I start? I started this. I don't know. The colors that I use, this is Low Tide from Lion Brand. Had this for a while. I got a big old box of different newer yarns at the time, and I believe it was through the summer. Maybe, I don't know when Low Tide came out, but whenever it was new, I got a different selection of yarns that was new to try out. And I got 2 of the gray, which is driftwood, and then I got this corally color called Reef, but that's what I got. And I started out making a hat. There's a hat that I've made by Hohi Locatelli. I can't remember the name of it right now. It'll be linked. But I made it. It's a free pattern, and it's a lot of ribbing, and I love it. It's one of my favorite hats. It's in different shades of blue. The yarn is from Hobby Lobby, but I started to make another one of those hats, and whenever you feel the yarn, it feels soft. It's a acrylic polyester blend. There's 306 yards in one skein, but it feels soft. But when you're working with it, it has a rough texture to it, and I don't know if it's the polyester or what that's got the rough texture, but it's not as soft as I thought it would be. And so I took it out, and I'm making this doily type thing. I don't know if I'll have enough to make like a rug or whatever to put at the bed. It's not cotton, so you can't put it in the bathroom, but it's right now it's a doily, and I don't know where I'm going with it. I don't have a pattern that I'm following. I'm just making up stitches as I go. You can see here the little baubles and fan stitches and stuff. But yeah, I'm just making it up as I go. There's no pattern right now. I mean, but right now, I mean, it's too rough to be a hat. I wouldn't want it up against my skin. So that's why I was thinking a doily, placemat, rug, something that is just a pretty decoration. So I started on that, and then my husband, the grandkids came down New Year's Day. We went and picked them up. He did. And we had them over the weekend, and they figured out that I crochet and knit, and they wanted to learn. And they didn't pick it up right away, but I'm sure if they want to crochet and knit, they'll figure it out. But they decided that they wanted a blanket apiece, and we've been procrastinating about it, and you know, stuff happens, whatever, it doesn't get done, and it's now March. The oldest went and took a baby blanket home with him that I had made because he needed one of my blankets, and that's okay. But I told him that I would make a special blanket for them, and the youngest wants light blue, the middle one wants dark, and then the oldest wants red. And Riker, who is 6, that's the youngest one, his birthday was actually the 17th, and we went last weekend to Poplar Bluff, which is not very far from here, and hung out with my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law. She might as well be my sister because we're closer than some of my sisters. we went flea marketing and stuff like that over the weekend with them. And we went to Walmart. And he's like, you'll never believe it. Guess what I found? I'm like, what? He pulls me over to the yard. He's like, look. And, you know, he grabs and is like, oh, yeah, you got so much yarn. You get yarn, you get yarn. But he encourages my yarn because he bought me yarn. And he buys me more yarn and more yarn and more yarn. Because he knows I have an addiction. And, I mean, it's just yarn. If that's what makes me happy, he buys me yarn. But, he's like, why don't we go ahead and get enough yarn for one of the blankets? And I'm like, okay. Well, because Riker's birthday was the 17th, today's the 18th. He's like, why don't we go ahead and get enough for his blanket, and then we'll get enough yarn as we go for the other ones, because we're going down to see them, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, and visiting with them. And so he's like, we'll have a blanket ready for him. And then he's like, okay, how much is that going to cost? I'm like, oh, telling him. And he's like, okay, we'll pick out another set for the next blanket. Okay, I do that. Okay, how about you just go ahead and get enough for all three? Okay, dear, I'll get enough for all three. I mean, how am I going to say no to yarn? And I mean, no one ever, no crafter, no crocheter, no knitter has ever said no to yarn that I can ever think of. Because, I mean, it's yarn. And, so we went ahead and got it. And I embarrassed him. We were walking through Walmart and I pick up one of the skeins and I sniff it. Because, you know, it's yarn. I sniff it. Whatever. Different yarns smell like, they all smell different. And so I sniff them. And it's just red heart yarn. It's not like it's some big deal. And he's like, stop it. You're embarrassing me. If you're going to do that, do it at home. But yeah, I got yarn. I got a blanket started for Rocker. And I'll show that here in a minute. It's a WIP. It's almost done, I think. I'd say but I'm at least halfway done. So it shouldn't take much longer. But, yeah. And as I start the other ones, I'll show you what they look like. The youngest one wanted light blue, which is Riker. And then Connor wanted dark blue. And then Jaden wanted red. And so I got those colors. And I wanted to do like a variation, like a shade or two of blue with a gray and a white or whatever. I wanted there to be a difference because I'm making the pattern like I made my husband's blanket, which is the Speedy Granny Roof blanket. I don't know if that's correct. It's from the Secret Yarnery. And so I'm making it like his. And you can't, they have drop stitches down in there, and you can't tell it if you have it all one color. And so I went ahead and got different colors so you could tell the difference in it. But yeah, I'll show that here in a bit. What else have I been doing? I decided, because my little balls of scraps, they bother me because they end up going everywhere. And so I've decided that I'm going to make them into granny squares. I have made granny squares and granny squares and granny squares and more granny squares. And all I did, I used a 5mm crochet hook and did a 3-row granny square. That one's too light. We'll do that right there. Did a 3-row granny square. Nothing special or anything. And I used up a lot of my yarns, but there's little balls now. And I don't know what to do because I don't want to mix all the colors together and make a funky looking granny square. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the little bits unless I use them for stuffing. But I took most of these are, I want to say like Red Heart or Karen 1 pound, stuff like that. It's just bits and pieces. But this one is, I believe, Vanna's Choice. I don't have the label here with me, but I believe this one's Vanna's Choice. They're all 100% acrylic yarns. And then I decided while I was sitting there that I was going to play with a different yarn. This is another yarn that I got from Darn Good Yarn. And this came in like a mystery box or whatever when I ordered all that yarn. They had the mystery boxes on sale or whatever. And this is another 100% silk, I believe. And it's classified as a bulky. And I believe in 5. And I use the same hook and everything. I don't like this yarn. It's pretty worked up. It's beautiful worked up. I just don't like the feel of it whenever it slides across my finger. It's weird feeling. It feels kind of greasy. And so, I mean, all I've got is little bits of this. I don't have a whole bunch of this yarn, so I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I've got a little bit more. I could probably make 2 more granny squares out of it, but I don't know what I'm going to use this for. Because I'm not going to mix the 100% silk with acrylic. I'm not going to. Not to mention that's a 4 weight and this is at least a 5 weight. So, I mean, it's pretty, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't like crocheting with it. I like the finished product, but, yeah. And that goes over into this. Now, in the podcast episode that I recorded for episode number 2 that's lost, I had showed that I was working on these purple granny squares, and I figured out that I had enough purple yarn that I could take and make a blanket with it. And it was just scraps of purple yarn or purple yarn that was without a label and you didn't know what brand or whatever it was. You know that it's a 4 weight 100% acrylic by the feel of it, but I mean it was just scraps, you know. And I'm trying to use up some of my yarn because my husband says that I got too much, and I do. I mean, I got too much. And I used a 5mm crochet hook on it, and I made this blanket here. And I used I used pink to stitch it together. I gotta hide all the ends, so you'll have to ignore those. But I used this pink to stitch together. And I quickly realized while making this blanket that I hate this method of sewing them together. It's very simple. It's just a slip stitch method that you go around. I don't like it. It is a pain in the butt. I think that from now on, when like these here that I'm going to probably make into blankets, scrap blankets and stuff, I think I will do a join as you go method and do like a white and crochet all those together, because I don't like it. It was a pain in the butt. I've got all of these ends that I have to weave in. I mean, and I don't like weaving in ends. I do it, and I will weave in the ends on that silk yarn that's been shedding, but I will weave in the ends. I don't want to, but I will. But I did let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 rows long or wide, whichever way, and then 3 rows of that color. And then I did another one in this color. That's how many I could get out of it. And I think I got a little bit left. I may be able to make 1 or 2 more squares. And then this one, this section here, I didn't have enough to make 3 rows of 7 in one color there. So I found 2 different purples that were okay together and alternated them. And then I just put this ribbed border on it, which is just back post and front post double crochets. It's nothing fancy. And you can see how I did turn the end here. Not hard, simple. And that will go into the donation pile. I decided that all the yarns and stuff, that I prefer the process. I like the process. I like the product. I like using the product. But my thing is I like to crochet and knit. It don't matter to me. I can give it to somebody else. That part don't bother me. I like to just crochet and knit. So I figured that I'm going to crochet and knit and put it in donation piles. If people don't take it, put it in a donation bucket and then donate it like every few months whenever it's full. So I've got the blankets. There's no point in not making the little squares and making scrap blankets. I mean, if you don't, you're just wasting yarn. And I don't like being wasteful. So, I mean, why not? It'll help somebody later, right? Okay. We'll go on to this. This is my new crochet tablet cover. And I had a video tutorial for this, but my laptop won't piece everything together and make the video for me. So I figured out that I'm just going to write the pattern up, and I'll probably put it on Ravelry. Maybe Ribbler. I don't know. I haven't made the account on Ribbler, but I do have an account on Ravelry, so I'll probably put it there. But if you look, it's just kind of like front post trebles. It's the arrow stitch. It's not hard. But I needed a cover for my tablet because it's just been laying around. And this won't protect it from getting broken, by no means. But it will help. So I really need a cover, a tablet cover on it. But cheap, and this is prettier. So, and you can tell here, it's just kind of a rainbow effect. There's purples, dark purple, light purple, 2 different shades of blue, green, yellow, and then it goes into different purples. And so I did that with just a chain loop for the button. And I'll write the pattern out to where you can change it for different sizes and stuff. My tablet is a 9.5, 10 inch. And so that's what I'll write the pattern for, but I'll do the multiples and stuff so you can change it to make it for anything. You can use it for a book cover or smaller tablet, whatever you want to do. You can make a blanket out of it. As long as you know the stitch multiples, you can do anything with it. But I made that. I've been working on paper beads. Focus. There you go. I've been working on paper beads. And see here. It's just, I've got the paper because I went through a paper bead phase. And so I've got the paper everywhere. And I figured why not make them. I can make them into stitch markers and stuff. And have them for projects. There's no point in not doing it. But I've been working on, this is the only thing that I've been working on. Jenny, honey, get down. I know you need attention and I'll give you attention later. I know it. Stop crying. It's been raining and storming, and she's discovered that she's scared of storms. So she's been very needy the past couple of days. But this is Riker's blanket that I've been working on. I really, really like the colors. And you can see all these here, all these ends, because you change the colors every row. What I'm going to do is in the pattern, the video that Krista, I believe her name is, on Secret Yarnery, what she shows you to do instead of hiding all these ends, she shows you how to make this into fringe. And so that's what I'm going to do, is put all of this into fringe so I don't have to hide any ends and I can go on and start the next blanket. because my husband thinks that I can make 3 blankets in 2 weeks. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe, just maybe I can get 2. I don't know. The colors that I'm using in my handy dandy purse, because all my project bags have projects in them. So I use this big old purse here, and it will comfortably hold 5 skeins of Red Heart. But the colors I've got is turquoise. This is Mainstay, and it's, I don't know what color this is. How many more minutes? I got 7 minutes left. Okay. I don't know what color that is. Teal? Teal. And then I've got Red Heart Real Teal. And Red Heart White. And then I've got the Mainstay Gray, which is just gray. And those are the colors that I'm using for this blanket. And I'm just alternating. I started with the Real Teal down here at the bottom. And the pattern she calls for an 8mm and a 7mm. The 8mm for the crochet chain. And then you use the 7mm for the stitches. And I'm using a K or a 6.5mm for the whole thing. I don't have a problem with my chains and stuff, so I don't go up a size for the chain, but I'm just using a 6.5mm for that. Did I talk about everything? No, I've got more stuff, and I'll be back probably next week, maybe the week after, depending on how things go. But it's a lot of stuff to talk about. I feel like I just on you, like so much stuff seems like. But maybe next week I will have at least one finished object to show you. Maybe more, if I can get the oomph to do it. But I want to say thank you for coming and spending time with me. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram. I don't have a Facebook account for Missouri Makes right now, so there's nothing on there. I don't have a Pinterest or anything. Just Ravelry and Instagram right now. And you can follow me on both and show me what you're making. Tag me. I'll look at it. I like to see what other people makes. I love the pictures on Instagram, seeing what everyone makes. It makes me happy. I like yarn. I like different crafts and stuff. But yep. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And Jenny hopes you have a wonderful day. She wants y'all's attention too, evidently. Alright, I'll see y'all later. Bye.